For more resources, visit rymonline.org.
The Local Youth Worker is a daily podcast that's centered on 5 questions each week. Ranging from the practical to the professional, we're looking for answers to the questions you're asking. Whether you're in full-time, part-time, or even volunteer youth ministry, this podcast is for you.
Hello, everyone. This is John Parrott, and you're listening to The Local Youth Worker, a daily podcast presented by Reformed Youth Ministries. Reverend Brian Sorgenfrei is on the show today. Brian, welcome.
Hello.
Brian was the former RUF campus minister at Mississippi State University for 8 years.
Yes.
And has recently transitioned to where?
To RUF Ole Miss, my alma mater.
All right. And so we're going to ask Brian a lot of questions of youth workers engaging with the ministry of RUF. And I guess first off, why don't you tell us briefly what is RUF? What does RUF stand for? And then we'll start getting into some questions.
So RUF stands for Reformed University Fellowship. It is the college ministry of the PCA, the Presbyterian Church of America. And I guess quickly what it is the brainchilds of RUF realized that a college campus is like a city within a city. And they realized that the church is the only God-ordained institution for gospel ministry. So they asked the question, how can the church go to the college campus, the city city within a city? Can't really plant a church. So they said, well, let's send an ordained minister sent from presbytery to campus and form a group there that will preach the gospel, be overseen by presbytery, and point people back to the local church. So we always say we're about the word and the church.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate that RUF had a huge impact on me in college, and if I had a nickel for every time I heard my RUF campus minister say, if you have to skip something, skip RUF large group and go to church. RUF is definitely all about the local church, and that's one thing I love about it, because RYM is also about the local church. And Brian, based on your interaction with college students, what's some advice you would give to youth pastors?
First, I would just say be encouraged. I think my first thing would be, hopefully this doesn't sound condescending, but
go for it. It's a safe place.
Be okay being a small part in people's life that you might not even see. And I just say that because being a college minister, I feel like I see a lot of students that come out of youth from people that have poured into them and taught them the gospel, and for whatever reason it's like the lights come on in college, and RUF seems to get credit a lot, and we're okay with that. But the reality is, like, youth workers spent all this time pouring into them information and gospel teaching, and college students will say things like, I've never heard that before. And they have. They heard it from you. It's just...
And their parents.
And their parents, and their grandparents probably. And so, I don't know. I've just thought that before, that's got to be one of the things that's very hard, I think, about being, working with youth, is being very patient and kind of honoring God's pace in people's lives, because I don't think you always get to see the fruit. And I think we do. And so, I would say that's one thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a great encouragement for us, especially as you think about sanctification. Typically, we want, a full-grown tree as we're dealing with students, but we know we're, sowing seeds, and hopefully, Lord willing, He'll bring that to bear later in life. And like you're saying, you get to see some of that more. And so, I think that's a great encouragement for youth pastors for sure.
Good. I remember, I think it was Tim Keller used this analogy. It was more as parenting, but I think it works for ministry, where he said, like, our job is to throw logs on the fireplace, and because we can't ignite the fire, only the Spirit can. Mm-hmm. And so we're throwing logs on them by loving people and teaching and pouring into them, and the Spirit will light the fire. Man, when it's a student who has come from a good youth group and the lights come on in college, they are so much farther along than the and the guy who has no interaction with the church and was converted in college. I mean, both are great. But that guy, when he's converted, there's a whole lot of background work we've got to start doing with this guy. That youth guy is like ready to lead and go. So,
that's good.
kind of cool.
Yeah. So anything else you'd add to that? Any other advice you'd give to youth pastors? And I know this isn't, like you said, you're trying to be cautious, not to be condescending or anything, but definitely, I want to ask from your perspective, someone who's dealing with college students, just kind of can give us a different perspective, since you're seeing students at a different age and stage of life. Any other advice you want to pass on?
I would say this, that without being a youth worker myself, they don't. I hope this isn't discouraging. They don't remember a lot of what you told them, but they really do remember that you love them. And so I think like you're the first person a lot of times that like it was the safe place to like admit that there's sin going on in their life, and you didn't freak out. You were the first person that actually invited them in and moved towards them, and they never forget that.
Yeah.
So
no, that is encouraging. That doesn't sound discouraging. I mean,
okay.
I mean, speaking personally, I can be impacted by a preacher or my senior pastor's sermons, and then it can be, from week to week. I can't even remember what it was previously, but I do know he's faithfully, heralding the word from the pulpit and stewarding the word from the pulpit, but he's also loving me. So I don't think that's a discouragement. I think that is encouraging for sure. So that's helpful perspective.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.